going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. You know who it is, your boy John. Today, we got a special episode, The Path to Black.
I can't even introduce myself. You already talked
You're
about
next.
me?
You're next. You go ahead.
This
go
week,
ahead.
I'm the Blue Belt Wrangler.
All right.
Crushing blue belts all week. And like John said, we have a special guest today from National City Jiu-Jitsu, Professor Chris.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you, appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for doing this episode. We met a few months ago when you were looking for a fat purple belt to be King of the City, and I answered that call and got smashed. So
that was a fun match, though.
Oh man,
yeah,
I had
match.
a lot of fun. I've been thinking about it since, and since that, a couple of our teammates have done super fights. So I think we're trying to get on that super fight circuit at our gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's been fun. Running that King of the City here has been great. It's been great for the gym. It's been great for the community, and just getting people in here from all belt levels to compete. The rule set seems to be exciting. The spectators like it, and it's competitor friendly. That's the kind of way we designed it.
Yeah. I was when I came and I just watched, but I thought that was I like the idea of gyms doing things like that, because not only does it like you were saying, it's good for the community, but it also helps support your gym. You're getting people in, getting eyes on your gym, and giving you don't have to go to a World League or an IBJJF all the time. You can come somewhere like this and local and get some good training in, because you learn so much from competing, right?
You do.
So.
I always say competing is like taking a highlighter to a book. It'll show you really what you need to be focusing on to
where
get
your
to
gaps.
the next steps. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's nice when you compete too, especially when you compete someone in your actual division, because there's 3 or 4 dudes at our school that are actually an ultra, and a couple of them are my belt level. There's nobody above me that's on my size right now. So when you compete with somebody at your belt level, at your weight, you see what actually works and what doesn't work, and when I rolled with that dude, my half guard kind of got nullified, and I was like, well, I can't play this style of half guard on big guys. I gotta play a half guard a different way with bigger people, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, like I need a plan B. Like what do I switch to?
Yeah. And I'm not there in my jiu-jitsu path yet to have a plan B. It's got to be A game all the time, or I get smashed.
Throwing out your best pitch should always be the first option.
Yeah, exactly.
But you need a curveball too.
Just throw something else out the sideball right there. Yeah. So it's how like to kind of get into your experience in jiu-jitsu.
Let's explain it real quick. So when we do these black belt interviews, we actually change the name. It's not 40 and fighting anymore. It's the Path to Black.
Okay.
So we want to talk about your path to black belt, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say exactly like he was saying. We just kind of want to get to know your history. I think a lot of people, you hear. Everyone has a different path to get to the black belt.
Right.
You know, some people take longer, some people are shorter, some people have a road of injuries, and things they've had to overcome to even make it this far, Right. And so I guess, let's start with how long, when did you start? And
one more thing before you start, sorry about that. So I did as much research on you as I could. I saw that you've actually had, what's considered pro fights and in Fight to Win, right?
Yeah.
And then you were also in the military too, right?
Yep.
So going there, where did your jiu-jitsu start at? Where did your journey start?
Right, so I actually didn't start jiu-jitsu until I was 29. After my second trip to Afghanistan, I came back. I had some friends in National City. Actually, a buddy of mine, Diego Garijo, was fighting in Bellator at the time, and I needed something to get into, like another team to join.
Yeah.
That camaraderie.
Yeah, you want to be part of something bigger than yourself. You want to be, doing something positive around people that are goal-oriented.
Yeah.
And he was training at Alliance MMA at the time that was on 3rd and K in Chula Vista. So I got in there with those guys and started. And I asked him, because at first I wanted to do everything. Like, what should I? He was like, you got to start with jiu-jitsu. That has to be your base.
So you started with Dominic Cruz's fight team then, right? Was Cruz there at the time? That Alliance?
Yeah, he was there. He was on the pro guys training. Brandon Vera, Dominic Cruz, Travis Brown, Phil Davis, Jeremy Stevens, all those guys.
So John's actually from San Diego. So you started with Brandon Vera, right?
Yeah, and he used to be at City Boxing downtown. Yep. That's where I started. I didn't start jiu-jitsu. I started in Muay Thai, and he was the head coach there for Muay Thai.
Right. So I got in there and started training with the jiu-jitsu guys. Casey Ryan was the head jiu-jitsu coach at the time, one of the best professors I've ever worked with. And really, that's where I learned my jiu-jitsu from, was from Casey. So they call him the Spider Monkey. He does Spider Monkey jiu-jitsu. If you notice, I do a lot of stuff with my legs from the guard, and so that's where I learned that. So I started there, trained there for a long time.
So were you doing gi or no gi there?
Both.
Or did you start? You did both? Okay.
So right off the bat, you were playing both. Mm-hmm. So I kind of did something similar. I started doing no gi probably about 3 or 4 weeks after I started. It's I real lack it in my game. Like I do no gi maybe every month, a couple months. You know what I mean?
Right.
I liked it today, man. But just at our school, especially in no gi, everyone's trying to kill each other. So you never get the chance to learn the art of no-gi, like the grip switching and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's a little bit faster. It's a little bit more high speed, and especially when the mat turns into a swimming pool, and you're sliding around everywhere. So If I had to pick one, I would say I'm a gi guy, but
Okay.
I like no-gi also. No-gi's fun.
Yeah.
Gi, to me, is when I'm working on my technique, but no-gi's fun.
Yeah, we're both a part of the gi players.
Yeah,
club.
I like gi, but the reason I like no gi is because I can slow the game down. So especially when I'm going with these young kids, it just they're just so full of energy. They don't stop. They just you can grab them and be like, all right, now you're in my world. I'm gonna hold you. I'm gonna slow your game down a bit, and I'm gonna play my game, my old man game here.
Yeah,
So.
I hear you.
So how long did you train? So that's Alliance. That's not part of Alliance, right?
Right, no, that's correct. That's two different,
so
two different brands.
How long did you roll with Alliance for?
I stayed there for a little bit over 5 years. I went white through purple there.
Okay.
And I follow when a lot of people branched off from there and went to do their own thing. I followed with them. I got my brown belt and my black belt. And to your point, that you go through a period of injury. That was brown belt for me.
Okay.
I got to, I compete at every belt level. I did the fight to wins. I started doing pro matches when I was a purple belt. I did the five grappling show that they had here. I've done a couple of fight to wins. I had a subversive match against Barrett Yoshida.
Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah.
That was fun. For a match that I lost, I had a lot of fun in that
So,
match.
before we continue on the journey, what was that like to fight a legend? Like, luckily at our gym we have a legend there, and when he wants to fight, it's a fight. Like every time I fight with my professor, it's to the death.
It was it was an honor. I took the match on 2 days' notice. So Subversive was doing a lot of combat jiu-jitsu.
Oh yes,
at the
that's
time,
right.
and I was like, so when they called me about it, I was like, is this a combat jiu-jitsu match? Because I was like, I cannot slap Barrett Yoshida, man. That's not happening.
That's
so they're like, no,
disrespectful.
it's just I was like, no, there's no way, man. But it was a no-gi match, so obviously the answer was going to be yes for that.
Yeah.
So I did it. The match was fun. He was just 2 steps ahead of me the whole time, man. He does a lot of the same stuff that I like to do, just better.
Yeah.
I'm more
I think
familiar.
he went for like 7 submissions in the first minute.
Wow.
It was fun.
Yeah.
But you didn't get. I didn't watch it. So you
I
make
got
it.
triangled. He got triangled. He went for a bunch of different stuff. He started with
Just throwing them out.
inverted armbar to a kimura. So I'm countering everything. Went for like 2 heel hooks, and then got the triangle. And I was a little bit slow on the move. I kind of stayed on the right side. He made an adjustment, and then that was it. The lights were going out.
So you look like you weigh more than Barrett. Were you guys the same weight?
No, he's a little bit. He's believe it or not, he's a little bit heavier now. He's doing a lot of weight training. Generally I walk around like 145, 150.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus, you feel like a tank out there.
Yeah, you
feel
learn how to be efficient with your weight.
Yeah, because I thought Barrett was like 145.
No, he's probably about 165 now.
Really?
We're pretty close though.
Isn't he real short?
I don't know, real short. He's shorter than me, yeah for sure.
Because I mostly know him from his gi stuff, like the assassin choke and stuff like that. I've never really seen him roll no gi. I guess ADCC, right? He's
a
win
legend
that?
in ADCC. Yeah, he's an ADCC Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I've never. I think I was there and they inducted him. They inducted him last time or the time before. Yeah, I was there and they did that. Yeah.
So it was just a great honor to even be to compete against him.
That's pretty cool.
And you were a brown belt then, or was this recently? Black belt already
this
then?
was the last one that they did here in San Diego.
Oh wow, that was just recently. Yeah, that's
They're coming back in September. I'm not going to be able to do it though. I'm out of town that week.
So how long have you been training total now?
13 years.
Wow. And how long have you had your black belt for?
I've had my black belt. It'll be 4 years this December, so about 3.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you basically this is your club, right? So you opened this place right when you got your black belt, or pretty close after?
Yeah. Yep. We used to be about 1.5 miles from here. We were there for 3 years, and then we moved down here when that lease ran out.
That's awesome. So going back a little bit, you said your brown belt was like full of injuries.
Yeah.
What was that like to your progression? So because you got your black belt kind of in the United States average, 10 years, right?
Yeah.
When you got it. So what did that do to your game, and how did that change your game? Because every time I've been hurt, it's changed my game. That's how I developed the half guard. When I was a new white belt, someone blew my knee out, and I couldn't stand with anybody. So I was just sitting into the half guard, and that was like my journey into the half. So what happened with you at that injury? What was the injury?
I was injured almost the whole time I was in brown belt. Different things, ankles, knees. I don't have an LCL on my left leg anymore. So, I popped my knee a couple times. It would be just different stuff because I roll with everybody. If you notice, I get in there with everybody. I'd have a heavyweight just roll over my arm in a funny way, and then now I got a wrist injury. That's just how brown belt went for me. So, like I said, I compete all the time, so I picked up a couple gold medals at brown belt right away, and then pretty much spent the rest of brown belt injured.
In which?
So did the injuries kind of make brown belt a little bit longer because you couldn't train, or were you training through those injuries?
I trained through them. It affected my ability to compete more than anything.
There's something that I mean, at least I'm sure a lot of grappling sports are like that, but I know like some of my friends that don't train don't understand like when you get hurt and you're like, but I'm going to train.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just got to train. I have to train. I just got to what to do. You know, I'll just adjust my game, and like you were saying, you just you know, if you got one hand, and all right, cool. And now I got to learn how to do this one hand.
So if anything, that's how it affected my game. I learned how to adapt.
Yeah.
And play with different different tools. Yeah.
Which is useful. You know what I mean? It's very useful. How to work around things. To your point, like what happens if part of your game gets shut down?
Yeah.
You got to work around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened. You and I rolled today, Nogi, and like. Dude, it's like I don't roll with a lot of guys your body type, so like you're able just to slip through my half guard, like when you decided you wanted to go through, and I was like, what do I do? Like, what do I do from here? And I started just switching the grip, and I was like, maybe if I switch this grip and I block his knee, he can't slide through as easy. But
you changed where the fight was happening. And not so much on the underhook anymore, but the other side. Very smart.
Yeah, man, it was that was a very slippery match. You know, talking about the injuries. Recently, I hurt my shoulder maybe about 6 or 8 months ago. It's pretty good now, but for about 3 months, I couldn't use my left arm at all. I could only use it to frame, so I started playing knee shield, and again, it changed my game to play the knee shield and things like that.
Yeah, it's like, sometimes you can, if you look at it like it's an opportunity to learn something new, you'll mine something out of it.
So, opening up a school in San Diego, I'd imagine, did you have any reservations? Like, San Diego's kind of like the Mecca. You got all these schools here.
Right.
Were you worried, or was there any reservation about, let me open up a new school, you know, and see how this goes, or you know?
No, not really at the time. Like I said, I got into this just training and competing after I got back from Afghanistan, and then I worked in aerospace for like 19 years before this. I worked on fighter planes in the military, and then went to contracting. I worked Predator UAV drones. And then, so when I got into this, I had been competing for a long time. I had a little bit of, built up a little bit of a following just doing the competitions all over the West Coast. So I felt like when I got an opportunity to do this, I looked for very specific places to set up. So I went to a place where the market wasn't saturated yet. And
so you did some like, what do you call it?
That I felt like was underserved for martial arts. So.
Yeah.
Is the only other club in this area Gracie Maito South Bay?
No, well, they were at first, and now we've got 4 over here now. So,
but they seem to all be doing good.
All good clubs,
yeah, the thing about San Diego compared to like where we live, it's a big but condensed population, so there's so many people here.
Yeah, we've got a couple over here now, and a lot of them are guys that I've known the whole time I've been doing this. So we all have a good relationship together. Christian from one and Drew over at Apex are guys that we were all white belts together at
that's awesome.
So it's awesome to see us all still in this and still doing it, and then passing it down. So that's the best thing you can do. None of us learn jiu-jitsu by reading a book. You learned it from somebody. So the best thing we can do is pass it down to somebody.
So I take it you didn't necessarily start off thinking this was going to be something you did. It just kind of pieces fell into place, and it was like, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, I started off just doing jiu-jitsu because I needed the physical outlet, I needed the creative outlet, and you know, I had never really been good at sports before that. Like I played baseball when I was a kid, but like I could tell on my second day of jiu-jitsu in class, this is going to be something I can do.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't have that. I was like, man, I know if I grind this out for a few more years, maybe I'll learn how to do something. That's what I thought.
When I got an opportunity to kind of transition over to a new career path, I felt like this was going to be.
That sounds like that's not just a career path. It's a huge change from what you were doing before to jump in to just completely change paths and courses.
Is this what you do for a living now?
Yep.
That's awesome, man. To be able to live the lifestyle in the Mecca, like, I mean, what else can you ask for?
Yeah, I'm very blessed, very blessed.
Yeah, because I mean, every major team is here. Yeah. The most winning team in the world is 15 miles from here. You know what I mean? And like the whole, I mean, everybody is here. Like,
that's what I said. This is kind of the Mecca.
It's everybody.
Like,
when you start thinking about it, it's literally everybody except for Austin, Texas. Yes. The rest of them are here. And Renzo Gracie. So Renzo Gracie, Austin, Texas, and the rest are here. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's a very competitive place. There's a huge market for it, though. So we're happy to be in there with everybody.
Plus, you guys always have beautiful weather here, usually. So it's perfect.
Southern California has kind of always been that for martial arts. You know?
Are you from San Diego?
No, I was born in Atlanta. I came out here with the Navy and just stayed. So.
Wow. I know a lot of people like that. One of my best friends, he's in the Coast Guard, got transferred out here, and then he was up for promotion. He's like, nope, I'm not going to, because he was almost done retirement.
Right.
He's like, I'm not going to go, because then they're going to move him. So
he's
like, I'm going to stay here. This is where I want to live the rest of my life, and he's never left.
Yeah, it's a nice town. It's a nice town.
Did you get a lot of military?
Yeah, I would say probably like 70 to 80% of our people here are military. So
that's cool.
That's actually how we got the flags. Yeah. We didn't have them all to start with. I would say every time somebody joined that's from that branch, we would put their flag up. So the Coast Guard one we just added probably 2 months ago.
What branch of the military were you in?
Navy.
Yeah. That's interesting. So I mean, you're in also the mecca of the Navy SEALs as well.
Yep.
So this guy over here, John, thinks that we can grab a Navy SEAL off the street and he could beat him grappling.
Well, that's not what we said.
That's what he said.
That's exactly not what we said. We were talking about like a brand new Navy SEAL who's never really done any training in grappling,
Right.
and then put him in a grappling situation with a grappler. You're probably going to beat him in grappling.
In grappling? Yeah, that's
pure
what I'm saying.
grappling.
I don't know. We might have to set this up on the next King of the City.
I got a couple students here that are SEAls.
No, we were talking
Are they
about
white belts?
Yeah.
That
Oh
counts.
yeah. I guess the white belt would count. But the conversation was, I think Navy SEAL is probably the best
Right.
special forces
Right.
in what they do. But he does not understanding that there's still a gap between grappling and non-grappling.
They're not spending the majority of their
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
grappling.
That's what I was trying to
They're
explain.
training demolitions. They're training
Yeah.
Weapons.
training. A little bit of
exactly.
everything.
I understand.
I just
it.
do
Yeah.
jujitsu.
Yeah.
So.
I understand it, but
He's just trying to poke the bear. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to instigate something.
But we might have to talk about.
I think that would be fun though. I think that would be cool.
They're a
That'd be
handful,
cool.
no matter
Oh,
what. though.
that's
what I
yeah,
think.
100%
Yeah.
athletic.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's what I think. So I think the athleticism at our level of jiu-jitsu can beat it.
I would say they do have a fast learning curve though, because they understand work
Yep.
ethic. They understand.
Probably better than most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And
agree
the
with
ability
that.
to learn.
Yep.
Because that's, I mean,
Focus.
I've only.
Yeah,
you know,
the focus compartment.
Yeah.
Compartmentalized.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever that word is.
Right.
When they're trying to learn, they're like dead on. I need to learn this.
They're consistent,
Yeah.
and as we know, that's the key to getting better. It's
exactly.
It's not training three
It's
times a day
consistently.
for 2 weeks and then taking a month off.
Yeah,
it's about
it's
the
consistency.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
another thing right there. So he is also the king of overtraining. 2-a-days and crazy lifting.
But
I
I'm
mean, that's
consistent.
how he got from looking like me to looking like
But
him.
I'm consistent.
But-
That's all it is. I'm
If
just
you
being
can
consistent.
do it and be consistent, that's
yeah,
fine.
that's all that I'm doing is
Right.
being consistent.
What
And
happens
he's always
is,
hurt.
It's part of the game, man. It's part of the game, being hurt.
Right. It kind of is after a certain
It
age.
is,
I
yeah.
feel like we heal. Like when we
Slower.
get injuries at this age, you'll heal like 75% of the way, and they're like, I gotta live with the other 25.
I was just watching another podcast, and I think they were saying like you get over an injury when you get a different injury, and then all of a sudden that doesn't hurt so much, and
Right.
your like your shoulder
Yeah.
hurts instead.
Right.
You're
I
like,
was listening
oh,
to that too.
It
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily go away.
Yeah, it's just not
You're
the main
as worried
focus.
about it.
Yeah.
exactly.
So you said that you were doing aerospace for 19
Yeah.
years, and then so how old are you now? You look like you're
I
35.
just turned 43, actually, what's today, like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're the definition of 40 and fighting. So how many classes a day do you teach?
So I teach 5 a.m.s every day. We got kids classes. Luckily now I don't have to teach all the classes myself.
Okay.
So I usually teach maybe 1 or 2 classes a day. I teach 5 a.m. every day. And then we got 5 p.m. kids classes. Professor David teaches our noon classes. And then we got a full slate of evening classes. So
Wow.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So you
got a lot of
guys
help
take turn. Is it just you two that teach, or do you have other?
No, we got Jay Vermillo teaches here now. Professor Panda, he's teaching. We have a women's class taught by Coach Laura on Wednesdays. We have Coach Day Daniel Rhodes, that teaches all of our Muay Thai, boxing, and MMA. So we got a full coaching staff.
Wow,
going
that's
on
awesome.
now.
How
Yeah.
many classes a day are you guys
Which is
offering?
nice
you know?
because I used to teach 3 classes
Yeah.
a day, Monday
Yeah.
through Friday, and that'll wear you
Yeah,
down.
Yeah.
Especially
I
if you're
look.
teaching wrestling, you're hitting
Yeah.
the mat over and
Yeah.
over all day.
I think about that both ways. I think about it. So when I started at our gym, we both started about the same time. Our main professor was there every day, all day, taught every single class.
Yeah.
It was very rare that I think
pretty
Saturdays he didn't teach, but he taught Monday through Friday and Sunday. So Sunday through Friday, he taught
Every class.
Yeah, every class, 4 or 5 classes a day. And
It's hard on the body.
yeah, it's hard on the body. He's getting older. He just turned 49 last week, and that's 49 with 25 years of competing or whatever. He's
That's a lot of miles.
Yeah. So he started to not teach as much. He's bringing up our brown belts to teach and stuff
Right.
like that. So
Right.
I like the fact that he's giving the opportunity to new people, but at the same time, you're like, man, where's my professor at? You know. So
Right.
how do you balance that? Does anyone ever talk to you about that? About you not teaching? Because is this your gym, or are you and the other professor partners in it? If
Me,
you don't mind
myself
saying?
and Professor David are
Okay,
partners
yeah.
now. I ran the gym for 3 years and then brought him on when we
Okay.
moved to this location. He had been out of jiu-jitsu for a while, so it was good to get him back in here because honestly, he's one of the best coaches I've ever worked with. Built up some really successful kids programs and just a great coach.
Yeah.
So,
So you, I was gonna say, how do you, with so much experience teaching, did you find that teaching helped sharpen your game as well? Like
Yes.
sharpen the little things as you're teaching the techniques, and then
Excellent question. I always use different sports analogies, and one of the ones I use when I talk about teaching is how, as if we're just training, you can start to kind of round off the edges, like a wide receiver running a route doesn't have that crisp angle.
Yeah.
And then when you teach it, you start to remind yourself all the little details. But because the details, I always tell my students, the details make the difference between attempting a submission and finishing a submission.
Yeah.
So it's a good opportunity to remind yourself of like those little small details.
Yeah, the reason, yesterday I was rolling was with someone at one of our blue belts, and he was trying to escape my guard, and then he did something, I wrist locked him, and he was kind of like, why does he teach us to do that then, if you can just catch me like that? I'm like, and I was like, well, you took too long, you didn't set it up properly. And so we walked through the steps to do it, and he's like, man, I've been trying to do this for like weeks and I haven't been able to hit it, and just those little differences. But I had to think about it for a second, like, this is what you're missing.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation, I was doing a private lesson with somebody yesterday, and I showed him a move, and then we worked it, and I still caught him, but I'm like, the difference is you don't have 13 years to get your timing perfect.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That doesn't mean abandon it. You know what I mean? That's
just more
the right
practice.
defense. Exactly.
More practice at it,
Yeah,
and competing, like we said earlier, that'll help you get better faster.
I think when you learn a technique, it's like getting handed a rock, and you have to turn it into a knife. You know what I mean? Like a piece of flint that you got to turn into a knife. Because I mean, people can show you like it doesn't matter what position. Like think of something basic like a triangle. Like I don't do the triangle from the guard. I ain't got the body or the hips or the flexibility for it, but I can break it down enough to teach it. But I think if I was to practice it every day and just get smashed to the triangle, you would pick it up how not to get stacked and how not to get past.
Not only that, I think that one of the things I love about jiu-jitsu is just because you learn the technique doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Right.
Now you need to take that technique and figure out, why isn't it working for me? Maybe my body style is different. Maybe I don't have that flexibility and I need to change and adapt the way this move works to get it to work for me, which I think is pretty cool. So then when you roll with people, it's always a little bit different with everybody, especially in competitions. You may see the same move, you're like, oh, I know what he's going for, but then he does it just a little bit different. You're like, oh man, I wasn't expecting that.
So often, I think we learn this with experience. Wrestling and jiu-jitsu, so much of it goes into like how do you set it up, the setup and the timing. Like everybody knows an armbar, but how did you set up
so
the
it's
armbar
not,
to catch
so you're not seeing it a mile away.
Right,
exactly. Yeah, I watched you catch some arm bars today from half guard where you basically, for side control, where you basically made space, got your knee in, and was like boom. And I was like, oh, that's clean.
Most people aren't looking for it from right there. So.
They feel safe because they're in side control. They're like, I'm in control here, and you just snapped it in. I was like, ooh, that was nice.
The setup makes the move a less laborious process.
Was it arm? You were on bottom in that? Yeah, you almost caught me in that too. Same thing. Yeah, I felt it coming. The only reason I felt it coming, I had that exact same thing happen to me from from Roger, another guy we interviewed a couple weeks ago. I had him. He was being nice to me. This dude, he's a destroyer. Right. He was being nice to me, and I had him in a paper cutter, and I didn't want to finish it because he was being nice to me. And then I kind of let up the pressure, and he spun around to that same armbar and just. Dude, he was being nice and still popped my shit. I was like, dang, dude.
I'll use submission attempts from unorthodox positions like that a lot of time as a tool.
To escape or to create movement?
Even if I don't get the armbar, you have to pull the arm back, and you gave me the space I needed to get back to the arm.
That's how I like wrist. That's why I like wrist lock.
Wrist lock, same thing.
I may not get the wrist lock. It may not be perfect, but if I make you panic enough to where you move, now I can get to the better position.
It's not necessarily a failed submission. It's a successful tool.
Exactly. It's just a tool to get to a better position or re-guard or
I'd like to set up submissions with other submissions too. It makes like you could take two, maybe 60% completion percentage submissions. If you use one as a setup for the other, now it's a 90% completion rate.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Because that defense, I know what your defense is, and so I use it to walk you into the next submission.
Yeah, you're forcing them into what you want them to do.
It's a way to predict what they're going to do because I know what the defense is.
Yeah, exactly.
I recently started down the path of doing straight judo by itself.
Nice. I love judo.
Independently from jiu-jitsu. And what I should have known this already, but what I've been learning there already is you learn all the throws in the first couple weeks, right? They teach you all the basic throws, and then they tell you you're not going to hit a single one of these throws, because you have to set it up 5 throws before that, and that's what I'm starting. That's what I'm starting to do in jiu-jitsu now is getting to a common move in judo is a ko-uchi to o-uchi to sotogari or ko-uchi to uchi to uchimata, and it's like you're never going to hit an uchimata, you're never going to hit a ko-uchi or o-uchi, but if you hit all 3 of them in a row, you're going to hit the last one, and that's what I've been trying to do in jiu-jitsu for the last couple weeks as I've been training both, and I like to throw. Someone else told me that I throw wrist locks and mirror locks as a jab. So I like to throw them out there to get them to move, to get them into a better position.
That's a great analogy because I use that. I tell them chaining your submissions together or your wrestling or your judo is like a punch combo. It's the last punch that you want to land. So very, very, very accurate.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I love judo too. We were very fortunate enough. We had for probably close to a year, we had Toby Amada here teaching judo and striking. So
wow.
yeah, he's got a head coaching position now, but it was great to have him here. The little bit of judo that I was able to learn when I was able to take his classes still works for me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you know who he is. Do you know who J-Flow is? He's out here close. I mean, that would be. I would love to go get one with him. I think he's in Paris right now with the Olympic team.
Is he maybe?
Yeah, I think he's teaching with the Olympic team, but he's in I get not too far from here at Legion.
Is it Legion?
Training,
Yeah,
I think he trains
I
at.
saw him working with some of the guys that were getting ready for CJI over there.
Oh, really?
Ooh, can't wait for that.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Can't wait for
That
that.
came in and changed the game right away.
So what do you think about that? You know, because
I love it.
we're, John and I are pretty newer to the scene, so we came about and then ADCC was like the thing. I went to the last ADCC and man, it was amazing. It was a spectacle, right? But I see exactly what Craig is talking about. Like, I was in the stands. This is not made up. Nobody cared when the dude or the chick from Pride was announcing. Nobody cared.
Right.
They paid her like $500,000. It was a lady, right?
Yeah.
They paid her like $500,000 to do that. It's like nobody cared.
Yeah, that's where stuff like that. If it's not adding value to the production.
Yeah.
And the whole argument was that we don't have the budget to pay the athletes more, but then you drop $500,000 on the announcer.
And it seems like, you're doing, I mean, you throw your own promotion. How many fights are usually on that promotion that you do? It's like 20 or 30 fights, right?
It's about 20, 15 to 20. And then we always do a bracket for the belt.
I love it.
And then we stack it with super fights.
Dude, that's awesome.
And you were on time. That's something that I like.
We've
gone through a lot of.
We've
gone to a lot of like in-house tournaments, little tournaments like that. And they're never on time. They're unorganized. You did a really good job at that. I loved it. I was like,
wow.
wow.
It drives me crazy. I think that's the military part of me. But
I liked it. I thought that was awesome.
The feedback that I get most often is that we love that your tournaments run on time.
Yeah. It's such a like my son. He was an orange belt at the time, and we went and competed, and they were like an hour and a half past his time, and he hadn't eaten because he didn't want to eat before he rolled. He's just so pissed off, and I was like, hey, we're about to leave because he's done. He's already angry, and so then they made it happen, and then he went out and just wrecked everybody because he was angry. But it's like, especially like for kids and I guess adults are the same. Like you have like anxiety and all these things, and then if everything runs late, you're just like, man.
I did a tournament in Vegas. I won't say which one time, but we weighed in, and then they were running so far behind from whatever brackets were going first. I had to sit on the wooden bleachers for 5 hours.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
And you've already stretched and warmed up, then you get cold, and then you stretch again.
And then
that's
you don't.
How people get
and then you don't even know when you're gonna go. So it's like. I can't just work out the whole time.
No,
I gotta.
No, you can't warm up for that long.
Exactly.
It's like you blew all your cardio.
Yeah.
So
I had that happen to me out here at. I'll say it. Me and IBJJF are fighting anyway. So IBJJF. I was at the IBJJF tournament a couple years ago at San Diego, and me and my opponent showed up, and we fought. And then it was a 3-man bracket, so it was a round robin. And then they're like, okay, you guys are going to fight again, but also there's a third dude in your division. He's not here. You guys weren't supposed to fight till 3. So you have to wait
for him.
You have to wait till like 3:45.
Yeah, they have,
so
this 45
like
minutes.
1 o'clock. We fought at 1 o'clock. And then they're like, hey, you have to wait until the actual time that you guys were supposed to fight at, or you can't fight. They let us go early because we were there. So I'm sitting there with my professor, and he didn't want to be there, and I told him he didn't need to come. I was the only guy at our school competing. I was like, you don't need to come. It's just going to be quick or whatever. And he's like, no, hold on. We're sitting there for like 2 hours. And I mean, he's a known dude, especially in IBJJF. So he walked up to the refs table and was like, what team is this guy from? And he telling me, he's like, is this the coach? He's like, yeah. He called the coach and, hey, is your guy coming? And he's like, no. And he went back over to the score table. He was like, hey, he's not coming. Let's just get it going. So he was able to get us to fight the second fight right away. But we waited for 2 hours by the time that he said to go. And that drives me crazy. I've had that happen. I've had that happen so many times. So like I actually like the World League events, but they mix the brackets so much. Like you'll fight one fight, and then like 45 minutes later you'll do another fight, and then if you make it, 45 minutes later you do another fight.
Wrestling's worse though.
Wrestling
by far is the worst. When my kids wrestle, it's like
on the same table.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the story, I really like you were on time, and I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Thank you.
And the reason I brought it up is like, we were talking about like the money within CJI versus ADCC, and it's like, dude, you're spending a whole day for the love. You're not making any money doing that. All the super fights are free. You charge a little bit for the King of the City, but that probably just covers the belt.
Covers the belt.
It covers
the belt's expensive.
It covers the belt. So like, man, the King of the City is super cool, man. I really like that. I wanted to talk about you talk to you about doing something else in the future. But man, the King of the City is an awesome tournament. If you guys are in Southern California, you want to get one in, follow his Instagram. It's King of the City. What is it? King.city.
Just King of the City. I think there's like some underscores.
Yeah, it's like
look
just
up
look
King
at
of the City,
it
you'll
comes
find
right up.
Yeah.
Dude, he does it on time. You're gonna have a good opportunity to have fun. Like it's a great tournament. How long have you been doing those now for?
It's been. I want to say a year and a half because we've run through all of them. We do them in order. Like we do one belt per
white,
tournament.
blue, brown.
It'll be white belt, then the next time it'll be blue, and then
yeah.
we stack it with super fights.
Yeah.
So the next one up is going to be the black belt gi. The last time we did black belt no gi. I think we had 3 former world champions from that competed on it. We had some big names on there. So yeah, and the name of the game, we always try to make it fun. We tell everybody this ain't the IBJJF. You're not going to DQ you for smiling. Like, come in here, have fun, do your fun stuff. We have the DJ right next to the mat. It's house music. You know what I mean? It's the submission only.
Yeah, there was a good vibe. I think you guys had food outside, right?
Yeah, we always have food, and my rounds are always 5 minutes, regardless of the belt level. We want it to be fast paced. So guys get in here, they slap hands and get after it.
Another thing I liked about it a lot too is that he's talking about they do belt brackets and the super fights in between, but the belt brackets are absolutes. Right?
Yes.
They're always absolutes, right?
Yep.
So it's like if you win that absolute, you really are the king of the city. It's not like you're a featherweight fighting featherweights. It's like when we came, there was some dude in a purple gi or a pink gi, and he was like,
CJ.
Yeah, I think he was probably like 185, maybe 200. He smashed every weight class. I was like, that's how you got to do it. And the little guy, I think he had like the semifinal with him. They were going after it for a second, then he got to something, but I was like, that little dude was getting after it too.
The very first King of the City we ever did was white belt gi, and in the finals was a guy that was 165 versus a guy that was 265, and the smaller guy won just from going for loop chokes and stuff. The first purple belt no gi we did, the smallest guy in the bracket won the whole thing.
Really?
So
Nice.
but to your point, when you win it, you can say I'm the King of the City. You're the pound for pound, whatever belt that was, champion for the city.
And it's not like an in-house. You have people from every gym. We came from him at the guy I fought. I think he was from Marietta, so he's like from our neck of the woods too. So we traveled 80 or 90 miles to get it. So I mean, if you win one of those brackets and you're not from, even if you are from the San Diego area, you're really the king of this area because you have people from every school.
You're not limiting
academy,
it.
every
It's
level.
anybody, anybody who wants to come and join.
We've
I
had
really
some
like that
people
promotion.
travel for them because, like I said, people just find the rule set exciting and the way we run it exciting. It's all about submission attempts. We want to see people going for submissions. We had Bill Cooper compete in the super fight here.
Wow.
Did great. It was fun to watch.
That's a testament, dude. If you do it right, people are coming out. They want to compete for the love because I assume you didn't pay them. You know what I mean? Like
no, we did.
So, yeah.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Whenever we do black belts, we come up with some prize money.
Oh, that's even better.
That's why we try to. We've been pulling some sponsors for this lately to come up with when we do a black belt bracket. We always do some prize money for them.
Man, that's awesome, man. But getting Bill Cooper. If you guys don't know who he is, he's one of the early legends from.
Absolutely.
What's the name of the team he's from? They're big now.
Paragon.
Yeah. That's where Jeff Glover's from. Like those are like the dudes coming up. Like
those
were the white dudes coming up.
Fight now,
Yeah. Does Jeff move back here? Do you know? Because I know he's always at surf fight.
I know he's working with Victory again, but I think he's mostly a surf fight guy.
Yeah. Right now, you see that camp that's going on there right now? You got Majid and Luke there like crazy.
Nice.
So you got Majid there, you got Luke Rockhold, you got Glover there always. Man, there's been some people in that gym. And
it's an exciting time for jiu-jitsu. That's why as much as I think everybody liked ADCC, the CJI coming in and kind of flipping the board over.
They really kind of mixed everything up,
man.
made everything. I agree.
And right now, arguably, CJI has better fighters. The only thing the ADCC has on CJI right now is the lighter weights.
Right.
Because we're friendly with Pato. Like Pato can't compete at absolute. You know what I mean? Dude, he's good, but he's small. He's a little dude. So they still got Pato. I think they still got Baby Shark. I think everyone was trying to get that Baby Shark and Mikey fight, which I think was going to be that super fight, but Mikey backed out because the fighter backed out, which I think it was going to be Baby Shark.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be. Are you going to any of those?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. No, I don't have to. Are they?
Well, and there's
CJI's not sold out.
Yeah,
$50. $50.
Really?
It's like they're not great seats, but we went there last time. You could see from everywhere.
They're also streaming it for free on YouTube, which is kind of crazy.
We'll see. I'll be watching either way.
I'm so excited about it. I got to talk about it a little bit more. It's only one match at a time.
I like that.
Yeah, so
I like that.
So
all the focus is.
Yeah. So like ADCC day one, I think there was 4 or 6 mats. So you're like you're trying to move your head when people are screaming.
When you got that kind of a lineup, you want all eyes on.
Yeah.
That's why we do one match at a time. You want all eyes on. Just run it on time.
Yeah.
You know, and then you don't have to have 8 mats going
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, I can't go back to how fun that tournament was that you put on, man. It's great. Like, I got so many people that want to do it that hit me up afterwards. And I was like, let's try to link something up where we can get bring a team down here or something like that and get it, because man, it's such a cool event, man. Like, we went to another one recently. 10th Planet Marietta's throwing one. Do you remember what it was called?
I don't remember what it's called.
Friday Night Fights or something like that.
Something like that.
It was
South Bay did one too. South Bay had their
really?
own tournament.
That's
I think
awesome.
they
Yeah,
had a good turnout.
and it's all about just helping people like grow on the sport, because like we talked about a couple times already, is like you don't know what's going to work until you actually try to get down with somebody, until you actually pojado with somebody.
Exactly.
The gym is different, you know.
And look, these guys work so hard in training. It's an opportunity for them to get out there and show what they can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
I always say to my students from the coach's perspective, like I'm on them hard in class, but when it's competition day, it's their day. You know what I mean? We want to make it about them and their opportunity to show what they can do.
Do you try to put some of your competitors on those tournaments usually?
Yeah, anytime they want to get in there, we put them in there. Especially when we do a bracket. I encourage everybody to jump in
It's
there.
also like a good way to break in. Like people get nervous, especially like if you do World Masters or Worlds if you're younger. When you go to those things, there's thousands of people.
Right. We have a little
Even
bit
at
of a
World
different vibe
Masters,
here.
even at World Masters, like
10,000.
you're like you go out, you go step out on the mats, and you look around, you're like, oh, everyone's watching this. I'm like, oh, so this gives you a good like intro into like having a smaller subset of people watching you that are cool, and no one's gonna sit there and like talk smack about you, or you know, everyone's like, oh, that was good, that was a good match. Or
I
whatever.
actually felt more nervous here. You had Big Marco sitting there, and I was like, man, I try to model some of my game off of his game. It's like, man, I feel bad fighting like this in front of him.
Oh no.
yeah.
Have you trained with Big Marco?
Marco Martinez?
The big homie, Big Daddy, what's his name?
Yeah, I have. Yep. I know Marco for a long time.
That dude's a handful, man.
He is. You gotta be careful. I know his game well, so I know how to like stay out of position. Like I don't even bother taking his back because he has some moves he does from there. So unfortunately for me, I know his game, so I can stay out of trouble. But yeah, Marco's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's all I got. You got anything else?
Do you have anything you want to talk about? You want to promote King of the City, or like talk about your gym a little bit more? I mean, like this place is awesome, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah, if anybody that's in the area, South Bay, National City area, we're very welcoming. Come in, train with us, and come compete for King of the City. You know, if you're thinking about competing, just get in there and do it. You're gonna learn something good. So we're doing the black belt gi next. We're pulling some sponsors.
Is it full? I'll definitely get on that sponsorship. Is that bracket full already?
No, we haven't even picked a date yet.
Oh, okay.
So we're working on that right now. Putting the bracket together. We're gonna pick a date. We got to get the AC going in here again. And because we pack the house, have you guys noticed this? We pack the house when we do one of these. And one of the things that's cool about the vibe is we'll put people along the edge of the mat. So it's almost like a bunch of people kind of leaning over the action. Like
exactly.
On that tournament, are you gonna do gi or no gi black belt?
This one's gonna be gi, and then we're gonna start over with no gi.
So
the next one will be white belt no gi, then blue belt, and so on.
That's awesome. I got a guy I want to try to get. I've been bugging him to come and compete again. So let's see, Dan.
That's what I was just thinking about.
Dan, where are you at? One of our black belts, man. He's like the master of like the worm and the lapel guard. So it's like
this one's black belt gi. That's the time to do it.
So
it's time to shine.
He keeps crying about, I can't compete. I'm hurt. And then he'll be like, I'm gonna compete. And they're like, I can't compete. And it's gonna be it's open weight, right?
Yep.
You don't got to lose any weight for it, Dan.
It's a low pressure situation. It kind of feels like you're amongst friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's it's a low pressure situation.
And I
loud
assume
music, fun vibes.
Yeah, I assume he could pick Peso Pluma to walk out to, Dan.
Whatever song you want. Whatever song you want.
And I wanted to bring it up. I was going to ask you about it. What made you decide to put the spring mats in your gym when you opened it?
We just wanted to be able to do judo and wrestling and just kind of make the safest environment possible for the students. So.
Yeah, and it's if anyone looking to train, like if you're looking for a gym and you're starting out, if you find a gym with spring mats, start there. And like people probably don't think about it, but it's a significant investment to put these just to buy mats, and then to throw the springs on here. So that will show you the quality of a school.
Yeah, that they're investing into their school.
That they're willing to invest in their school and then invest in you learning, because they want you to show up every day and not get hurt on the mats.
Or break your back.
So,
it makes a difference too.
Yeah. Someone got their back broken on our mats before.
Wow.
That was me.
You're the someone?
Yeah, I'm the someone. I got thrown, and then the next day I was like, I can't walk.
He got broke off by a 14-year-old that he thought was
not. It was Albert. It was not a 14-year-old.
It was little Gabe.
It was not little Gabe.
He was 13.
It was not little Gabe.
We were talking about it real quick. We were talking about it earlier. You were saying that you had like a #1 ranked wrestler here, or someone that you know is like a number. So we have a kid at our school too. He's like number 2 or 3 in the state wrestler.
Oh, no.
He's been wrestling since he was like 8 years old. And when I first started, he was like 5'4", and he was real timid. didn't like to talk to anybody and would just break everyone off at 6 a.m.
Nice.
Break everybody off. And that's who actually broke John's back.
It's not who broke my back.
He wanted to
That's not who broke my back. But we don't have these. We have like
just the regular mats.
Just the regular mats. And at 6 a.m. because we can live more in a desert area, 6 a.m. is really cold. Those mats are like rocks.
In the winter,
morning,
oh my God, they're like rocks.
Yeah.
They're
so I got thrown, and then the next day I was like, I can't walk. This is interesting.
Oh yeah, you'll feel it when you bounce off of
Oh
the
yeah.
mats.
Well, you don't really bounce. You kind of live.
It allows us to do more stand-up, work with the rest of
Yeah, these are nice. I love these.
John brings that up a lot. I never really thought about it, but do you guys, when you guys actually do the sparring portion of your classes, do you guys start standing?
It depends on how full the mat is, and it depends on what we're working.
Okay.
So we incorporate, especially Professor David's wrestling classes, wrestling and nogi. We do a lot of wrestling at the beginning of the lessons. So we almost always do some type of throw or some type of takedown as the first part of the class, always.
Yeah.
So that was something that I noticed when I was training as a lower belt level. Always starting from the knees, and then as somebody that likes to compete all the time, I was finding
don't get that
myself
experience.
not necessarily like I have all this great parts of my game that I'm not even getting to because I'm getting taken down right into side control.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because at our school, I've never started from the knees ever. Like when we visit other schools, sometimes they do.
Right.
But like, how do you start going into competition when you don't start standing up? Every comp starts standing up.
If you're gonna do the majority of your training from your knees, you better do a training camp where you're working your wrestling because
that's what we've noticed is other schools will have like they'll do like a comp class right before training, and that's all standing. But even then, I don't think that's
it's not enough.
If you do 6 weeks of that, that's still not enough.
Every jiu-jitsu class that we do, we start with some type of takedown or some type of a throw.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you don't have like a singular game plan or like a lesson plan. So it's two things. It's a technique standing and a technique on the ground.
We have a curriculum.
Okay.
And then we mix it together based on that. Like July was all about leg locks, but then we still work our wrestling before we get into whatever that leg lock is, or we'll tie it together. Like how would I do a single leg into an inside trip straight into an ankle lock.
Yeah.
So we try to make it flow.
Yeah.
Hey, did you come up with the lesson plan, you and your partner?
Yeah, we always come up with the curriculum, whatever we're going to do that month.
That's awesome, man.
I try to teach it in a way where I show how one move flows into the other, because when students learn how the pieces fit together, like learning individual moves is cool and all, but when you start to learn how they fit together, then you're doing jiu-jitsu, and then they can sort of figure out how to write it themselves.
That's something our professor always harps on that when he teaches stuff. He's like, remember, he'll show something, and then he'll be like, remember last week we learned this? Well, you can go from this to this, and he's like, everything flows. Everything flows from one thing into another, and the more you realize that, the better you get at jiu-jitsu. You can flow.
It's like trying to learn a language. You can learn words, or you can learn how to write a complete sentence. You know what I mean? And then you write your own
paragraphs. Yeah, exactly. That's
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. I think that's what we got.
Yeah,
I appreciate your time, dude. Thank you for
man.
having us at the open mat. Thank you for King of the City. Like, there's not enough people putting on events like this. It's a lot of time to put those on. I bet you spend 50, 60 hours putting one of those events on. You know what I mean?
The matchmaking I spend a couple of days of just working matchmaking usually for those. So.
Yeah. So go follow King of the City, follow National City Jiu-Jitsu. If you're down here in National City, come drop in open mat, see if this is the place for you. Come train here.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.